Morning I went outdoors, it was 35 degrees. So yeah,
Oh no.
it's cold everywhere. It's
Oh
cold
my God.
everywhere.
That's
Yeah,
unheard of
I know.
over here.
Yeah. So listen, welcome everybody. We're so
Yep.
happy. As Amy and I were just talking about, this is 2024. We're
Hmm.
so excited to be doing this show with you. And that I want you to know, Amy and I both want you to know how grateful we are that you put aside your time, your energy, and of course, your heart and your mind to come together with us to talk about these really, really important subjects. So, thank you for that. And with that, Amy, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. Welcome. This is our show, Live with Marcy and Amy, which is Step Boldly in 2024. Create unshakable commitment, determination, and resiliency, and be empowered to carry you through 2024. And we really wanted to um, be bold. We really wanted to use language that was like resiliency, determination, and how and to share with you guys, and to also invite your questions into, how Marcy and I do it, how we see others have done it, and the importance behind um, being bold in your life. I think this is where, and sometimes, we might shy away from strong language, bold, determination, all these things that I don't know. For me, I'm like, do I really want to? I used to. It's a fine line between the masculine and the feminine energies around these words. So I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. It's going to be an
Yeah.
interesting conversation because, as I say, as I'm speaking about it now, there is something conflicting in me, which is interesting and lovely.
And you know what I want to share with our audience that
Yeah.
actually, so first off, you need to know that Amy and I do a lot of planning when it comes to what we want to deliver to you and with you. And we even deliberated over the title of, are we talking about walking into 2024 boldly, or are we talking about being bold? Right. And so stepping boldly in 2024 from our perspective was a greater invitation than just walking into 2024 bold. And the reason for that is that in order to step boldly all the way through 2024, it was the unshakable commitment, the determination, the resiliency to be empowered that we know from our own experiences is absolutely necessary in order to take you through what is ahead. So, of course, I love to start with a quote, and I actually found a number of them that really spoke to my heart. But this one in particular really spoke to me, and it says, at the moment of commitment, the entire universe conspires to assist you. And believe it or not, that was by Johann Wolfgang. Okay.
Wow.
Imagine how long ago this understanding was developed, and about how, oh, I'm getting God bumps. Anybody else? Woo! So the other reason that I'm sharing this with you is that I want you all to understand the level of commitment that Amy and I have in coming to you each month. And it's not just one day. We're in constant communication. We are constantly um, really assimilating the information that's coming to us through speaking with all of you, right, during the month. So it's really an amazing process for us. And having said that, I don't know, Ames, you ready to just jump in? I know we have an awful lot to share.
Yeah. So I want to say a couple of things. One is that this is being recorded. So if you don't
Right.
want to be seen, to have your cameras off. And the other thing, I think, let's introduce ourselves and what we do and how we
Sure.
support everyone. And I agree that these monthly lives are also a teaching for Marcy and I, because we learn from you guys, we learn from the experts that we usually have on our show, and that is important to have a community of learning. So, which is why we invite questions into our show from you guys, because learning is about participation and being in community and hearing stories and understanding each other's and finding empathy in each other's circumstances. So if you have any questions whenever we're speaking about anything, write them down and ask us. Or give your 2 cents, put your 2 cents into the group. I'm Amy Shade. I am a women's life coach. I am also the creator of the Radical Embodiment Method. It is a method that really connects your mind, body, and spirit, so that, you can walk proudly in this life. You can really achieve the things that you truly desire. Everything that I do is for you, is about you. And so, and that's a powerful statement, because many of us were told that our life was supposed to be about other people. And so it is something I'm very passionate about, getting you back to your passions, getting really deep into your life, and find your courage, your determination, what we'll be talking about today, and what it takes to really live the life that you desire. Really stand grounded, 2 feet on the ground, and just feel really good about all your decisions, and to have beautiful relationships, or cut off relationships, as we all know we must do sometimes. But okay. But that's my purpose, that's my mission, and that's what I do. So Marcy, introduce yourself to everybody.
Thanks. And also thanks, Amy, for just reminding me that I take it for granted that everybody knows who we are right on the show. And it's not that I take any of you for granted. It's that I feel like I'm home here when we come to this show. And so yeah, I look at you as my family. So I'm Marcy Newman. I'm known as the Heart Shift Coach, which is a process that I've developed. And it's actually the accumulation of over 50 years of experience in this field of helping people to heal their hearts. And my focus is, because of that, it's always on cultivating the energy of courage that it takes to create a self-love lifestyle. What I have found in my work through all of these years is that everything, no matter what is presented in the outside of us, and through that's whether it's in your world or in your inner world, it's determined by the amount of self-love that you have for yourself. Self-love is sort of the perfect format also for us to talk about commitment, for us to talk about, what it really takes to live authentically in this world. And Amy talks a lot about being authentic and being true to yourself. And so this focus that I have is, number one, on helping people to really understand what self-love is, and to cultivate that courage and that commitment to stay true to yourself. And then also, because everything that I look at is through the eyes of energy, it's for me to understand that one of the most important things that any of us can do is to really develop this ability to discern energy, because it's often disguised. And I'm sure Amy and I will talk more about this as our show goes on. But, the ego is such a strong influence, and it's a master of disguise. So what we are also committed to do for you and with you is to help you to learn how to discern this energy, so that regardless of how it's disguised, that you can initiate choice. And choice is really the key for you to live that authentic life, and for you to be very masterful in how you are creating your life. So with that, and as Amy said, as as you are asking yourself questions or wondering about something during the show, either jot them down on a piece of paper and ask us at the end of the show when we'll be taking live questions, or put them in the chat and then we'll address them at the end of the show. The other thing is because this is 2024, you might have noticed that Amy and I are shaking things up a bit. And we wanted to start this year off with just she and I being able to share our stories and our experiences, in the hopes that they will inspire you to cultivate more of this energy that we're talking about. So as you'll notice, again, it's just Amy and I today. Our show also is 90 minutes long rather than 2 hours, because we realized that we needed to shift according to the feedback that we were getting from you. And also that we want to spend more time with everyone answering questions. So for now, we have set aside the connect the dots portion of the show, and we just want to be more present with our entire audience. So with that, Amy, I'm going to start out by asking you a question.
Great.
Ready? All right. Why is commitment so important when forging a new path?
Oh gosh. Oh, yeah, when you start forging a new path, all of your insecurities, self-doubt
So true.
come to the surface. And there's a learning curve to any new path. There's a learning curve to changing the way you act or to learn something new. And we're very hard on ourselves in that process, in the learning curve, because we are not very good students unless you've studied your whole life. So oftentimes, we think we should get it right away and understand it and have what we desire right now. Okay, we made the decision. We're doing A, B, C, and D. Why isn't it happening? Right. And I think a lot of this, as you know, I'm an educator also. So a lot of this is based on the way we learn in school, where you study for a test, you take the test, you get the A or B, and all of a sudden, like, that's all that's important. Okay. And I think this is different for people who are artists, where you study something. Like, I'm a dancer, so I studied dance. I went to class. It was a process. You learn that one day you have a good day, the next day you have a bad day. One day you're like struggling with choreography, the next day you're really good with choreography. So I think how we learn in this country is also part of this being hard on oneself and wanting immediate results. And in life, when you go on a new path, that is not how it works. And we must not look at the A, like A is a win, F is a fail. No, A is a win, F is a win. Because you get to learn about yourself. And so commitment starts to wane because of self-doubt, because of self-judgment. All of a sudden, your passion and your desire for something begins to wane because it's not in the learning style that you learned. I think this is very important, that oftentimes we just have these learning styles that do not foster commitment, resiliency, the long game. Athletes have it too, where they train, they understand, like, it doesn't always just happen. Some days are good, some days are bad. You still get up and you still go for that win, right? So to me, that's kind of what I have found when commitment comes into play, and people being very hard on themselves, and they miss out on the secret. And the secret is being curious. The curiosity factor must be huge whenever you go on a new path, because you don't know what's out there. So you have to be curious instead of uncertain, right? I'm going to, Sarah, are we doing 3-minute thing, or I don't know where I am time wise.
Savannah, no,
I mean, Savannah, sorry. I don't want to call her Sarah.
um,
Marcy, go ahead.
yeah, okay. So
Add into that.
So I had a couple of thoughts as you were speaking.
Mhm.
And one is that so often also, we don't actually realize that we're forging a new path, right? And so when does that happen? When do we start and initiate that aspect of actually forging a new path? In truth, it happens every time we have a new desire. Every single time that we have a thought that is in contrast to our present existence, and we have a different thought about what we would like or want, we begin the process of forging a new path. Now we know 2024, it's advertised as being the new path, but in reality, that's so untrue, and it's also unfair, because a lot of times people have this pressure, right, to create something brand new for the brand new year. And so they make all these resolutions, and they have, all of these new paths that they want to forge. When in reality, if we just remind ourselves who we are creators, and we are creating 24/7. The only commitment that's actually necessary is to that memory, because we get so distracted by all of the other messages. And you mentioned, Amy, this programming that we have from childhood about what it takes to forge a new path or to start off anew. And again, if we were instead taught that we are creators and we are constantly creating new paths, we then can become empowered to determine whether or not that path is actually one that we want to follow. So, getting back to the discernment of energy, when you can discern which energy you are following, you can determine if it has the capability of creating what it is that you want to experience. And, you know, the other aspect of it is that, and you really spoke about this too, Amy, is that we're not taught to be committed to ourselves. We're taught instead that we're almost subservient to other people, that we're meant to put them before us, how they feel, what they want, what they think, and then to put all of that information through the filter of our mind and determine how we can contort to respond to that, to answer to all of those requests and needs that are and expectations that are placed upon us. So, what Amy and I are talking about today is a complete reorientation. We need to reorient. And as you all know, our focus is always on being in the heart, because the heart will never lead you astray. It's constantly communicating what it is that is for your highest good, but also it's where your joy is. It's where your abundance is, your prosperity is, it's where your fulfillment is. It is in the following of a path that you are forging that comes from a level of consciousness where commitment is in the forefront, because you're finally remembering that the commitment is to you, and to you being that greatest version of yourself that you came here to be. So, how would you say, Ames, that people can set about actually creating more commitment in their lives?
Yes, thank you for that. And if anyone would like to share, I think it'd be fun to share your intentions or your goals or your resolutions in the chat. Like, what are some of your intentions for this year? I think would be a beautiful share. If you want to share, go ahead and type it in the chat. Um, and I think it would give us also a good kind of rounded, for us to see what you are desiring. Then we can also tailor our words to your desires. So, what's the question again? Why is it so difficult?
Yeah, why is no? My question to you is, how can people cultivate that level of commitment? What can they actually do?
Yeah. Whew. Well, there's different things that inspire commitment. Sometimes it's anger. You're so over this relationship and you are committed to get out, right? I mean, anger is a great fuel for that, oftentimes as a kickstart. I'm not afraid of anger. Some people don't want anyone to be angry or whatever, but to me, it's a natural reaction to people who or things or circumstances that you know you don't want to stay there, but things, oftentimes they spark your commitment. um it's interesting because I think commitment is inspired by also love, the passion you have for something. I've been very passionate about dance my whole life, and I still take class. My commitment level to that is 100%. And that is purely inspired by passion and love for an art form. That's like passion and love for something is a great energy around commitment. And sometimes what we desire, we must find a passion and love around. Like in my life, like being a coach, an entrepreneur, you can't separate the two, unfortunately. I mean, I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I just wanted to coach, but we have to be entrepreneurs too. And so I had to develop a passion and love for being an entrepreneur because that's not my natural state. My natural state is being an artist and to be helpful and that's where my passion really lies. And commitment around that's easy. It's something that's natural to me. But the things that aren't necessarily what we truly desire, like we must find passion around it. We must find a way to love it so that the energy changes around that aspect. So as I'm creating this love affair with being an entrepreneur, it's something that I've having to cultivate. And I think that's part of cultivating commitment to something is to actually start to like it, to love it, to discover more about yourself while in pursuit of it. So, and I think that, as I said earlier, it's difficult if we are in judgment of self, if we are looking for perfection, if we are looking for results today. So I do believe that you develop commitment through, you have to love it. I mean, my first love is dance. That's it for me. But I need to love other things also. I need to find passion around those other things because, I'm 55. I can't be dancing and teaching like I can't be doing 15 hours a week of dance anymore. So I need to find different passions and different loves and create commitment around those. I think that's my time. So
So I'm going to jump in
yeah, jump in. Sorry.
talk about what I see as possible avenues for creating more of that energy of commitment. And what popped into my mind as you were speaking, Amy, number one is that um, we have a tendency, because again, we have this deep programming within us that we're in constant conflict with, that puts other people before us. Because that is present, what happens is we often adopt a wait and see attitude about things. Well, let me wait and see what happens. Let me just wait and see what the universe brings me. Let me wait and see what is going to come next. Okay, the jig is up. Okay, we have got to let go of this notion of waiting and seeing as an option to creating. What we need to understand is that we are the cause of every effect. All right. So if you're in a wait and see pattern, so's the universe. You're going to just sit back and wait and see from each other. And the universe will wait and see until you make a commitment, one way or another. And
So
we
true.
forget about this. Okay. So, having said that, again, I have to go back to this understanding. And really, maybe the word is acceptance. You are a creator, you are creating 24/7. Wait and see. Well, that can be a fun game. If you want to throw some energy out there, throw some possibilities out there and wait and see what the universe brings back. However, if you are true to yourself, you have a true desire. And that true desire requires your commitment in order to bring it to life. So make no mistake, this is how it works. So that's number one. Number two, that commitment requires that you are in the now. We create only in the present moment, which is why, and I'm sure that if I ask the question, how many of you have experienced this? If you have tried to create based on a past experience, how successful were you? You can't create something new from a past experience. What you can do, of course, is learn from that past experience, but you have to cultivate this brand new energy frequency that then has the capability of creating what you now want to experience. Conversely, you cannot create if too much of your focus is in the future. It's not possible. You must bring your focused energy, your attention right here and right now, because creation only happens in the present moment. And it's why so often we find things in our experience that we don't want. And it's because in the present moment of the trajectory of that energy that we had a lot of emotional energy invested in, it will create the same thing over and over and over again. So again, I'm just going to keep saying the jig's up. You must start to accept yourself as a creator. You are the cause of every effect that you are experiencing. The third thing is that I just wanted to clarify something. When Amy was talking about this level of commitment and saying you have to love it, I want to clarify that you may not love the process. The process may be painful, but what you are creating is where your love is. So I'll just use myself as an example. When I made the decision to divorce my husband, I went through the dark night of the soul. It was very difficult. It was very painful. However, what I knew in my heart was that I needed to be free. I needed to be in the energy of freedom that wasn't present in my marriage and didn't have the capability of providing for me. So we keep our focus on what it is that we want to create. And that's where this level of commitment is that Amy was talking about. That's what we love. We love what we are creating. So don't judge the journey. All right? Because again, the ego will take that information and will convince you that you're headed in the wrong direction. Love yourself and what your heart desires. And you will be led by that commitment that you have to you into essentially the world of your dreams come true. So with that, anything else you wanted to add to that, Ames?
I do. I just want to, I just want to tap into this. I just want to say that when you talked about the past getting in the way of your new path and your what you desire, I think that does such a disservice to how far we've come. When we reflect on our past and think it's who we are today, and then that past keeps us from where we want to go because we believe the past is where we are now. So it's so important to really let go of the past and think of today as the first day and really assess who you are today and what you've learned, who you've become. Because often when we think about the past, we reflect on when we were 20 or when we were kids. We're not those people anymore. You're not those people anymore. So that's a big one. That's a big one that gets in a lot of people's way of their dreams and their intentions is their past. But I can almost bet 99% of us, we are way beyond that emotionally, intellectually, all our emotional intelligence. We have transformed so much, and yet we look back and think that's still us. And so stay in the moment, really look at yourself today and who you are, not who you used to be, but who you are today. And I think that grounds you in the true you, because the past you is not the true you. We have gone way beyond that. So I think I just wanted to speak a little bit into that, the importance of letting go of the past and looking at yourself today, who you are today.
So, Aim, so I'm going to ask you a question. What do you think the difference is then between commitment and determination? Because we've mentioned both in our title today.
Mm-hmm.
How does that differentiate from your perspective?
Well, you make a commitment for something, and then you need the determination to get there. I mean, we commit to our dreams. We say, I want, well, wait a minute. So we say, I want something. That's not a commitment. That's a vision. That's a desire, right? Commitment comes in putting yourself first, as Marcy spoke about. That's when commitment starts happening. So when your significant other is like, hey, I need your help with this, you say, sorry, doors closed. I'm in office hours right now. Ask me when I'm done in an hour. Or someone, your girlfriend's like, oh, let's just go out and have fun instead of da-da-da. I'm like, no, this is my time to really develop my business, my relationship, my business, whatever it is. And so you have this desire for something is not commitment. Your commitment comes in, no, you put your boundaries down. This is my time to do this thing. And then your determination kicks in with each No. Your determination kicks in with each no. Every time you put yourself first, your determination gets stronger. It's something that you start cultivating inside, and it's until it won't happen until you put your boundaries down and be like, nope, this is my time. The hours between 2 to 5 is when I write. I'm writing a short story, whatever it is, right? Or from, 3 to 5, I'm going to work on my business or whatever it is. No one's allowed in here. That's when your determination starts getting stronger and stronger and stronger because you get connected to self. You are on your side. You begin to put you first. And what happens is there's so much freedom in that. There's a lot of freedom in that. And it's freedom that many of us have not felt our whole life. But there's such a beauty and freedom that you come home to self and you are doing what you desire for once. And so I think that's how I would, if I think about it, that's how I break down the vision, the desire, the determination, and the commitment.
Yeah, it's a really good way of looking at it. What popped into my mind also is, and again, why, we're here in this moment of being presented with 2024. So many people, as you said, have, made goals, have made affirmations, have made resolutions, right? And so the difference again is you can have the commitment to read that affirmation every day. You can have the commitment to want to create what your heart desires. But like Amy was saying, the determination is what you need to do in order to stay true to the commitment. And the determination comes from a different energy because it is always going to require a different action from you. Completely different action based upon essentially what your emotional fortitude is in that moment of addressing what you want to be committed to. So a lot of times people take this moment of commitment and believe that that's the end, right? Okay, I'm committed. I'm committed. But unless you are determined to bring that forward, you'll understand when you start to see it all kind of fall apart. So the determination is the fiber, the energetic fiber that brings that commitment to life. So I'm so glad that we made that distinction. So what would you say then, moving on, is the difference between flexibility and resiliency? And I know we've had this question before, so I want to address it today again.
Have we? I don't remember that. Flexibility and flexibility, to me, resiliency is like getting tossed on your butt and getting back up. It's kind of like getting knocked down and getting back up. The resiliency is about facing the no's, and still finding a way around it. The resiliency is a little bit more painful than the flexibility, I think. Like it's a little bit more, flexibility is about, I think for me, bending and moving and being viable, and being like able to shift and to find different ways. But in the middle, like resiliency for me is like down below, like then having to get back up energetically wise. That's kind of what I'm picking up. And so And flexibility is so important, by the way. We must be flexible in our life. A flexible mindset is powerful. And unfortunately, it's not cultivated. You're either right or wrong. It's either black or white. And all of that being inflexible is very painful, not only for you, but for the world and for people in relationship you're in relationship with. I mean, it's for me, it's horrible to be in a relationship with someone who's black and white and that's it. And who are inflexible. So flexibility, I think, as I'm speaking more about it, is about curiosity, is about, really getting into the flow of life, because life is not perfect. Life is not always easy. Life can be fun. Life can be all these things, but we need to flex with it. We need to go with it. And also, like, okay, do I want to be an inflexible person? Do I want to be that person to my friends, to my family, and create this harshness around me? And when you are inflexible, you can't get to your heart, because the heart has empathy, has understanding. The heart understands not everything goes your way all the time. And the heart knows about vulnerability. And so that's how I kind of look at it. Like, resiliency to me is like, having to get up after being knocked down. And flexibility is to be creative and curious and flexible. How about you, Marcy?
Yeah, I would have to agree. I look at it a little bit from a different perspective, in that I actually see the resiliency as the reward of having developed flexibility. So, just what you were saying, Amy, having that curiosity where you don't allow yourself to get stuck in one mindset, but rather when you're living from your heart is always curious. Your heart is always saying, well, how about this? And how about that? Oh, come and explore this. Excuse me. And so flexibility is giving yourself permission to explore, to have the adventure, to stay curious. And what happens when we learn to trust that we can have these experiences, we build resiliency. We know, as Amy said, we get knocked down from, some experience. We know we can get back up again, but only if we've remained flexible. Only if we have not allowed that experience to make us rigid in our thoughts or put some kind of a wall up around our heart. So the resiliency and the impact of resiliency is that it gives us empowerment to walk through life. It's that resiliency that can only come from tapping in, tuning in to what is inside. And so I'd look again as that resiliency as a reward, the reward for becoming flexible, saying yes to experiences that you might not have allowed yourself before, saying yes to new ideas, new possibilities, saying yes to just following the messages of your heart. So, why are we talking about this? As we started to talk about why we chose this title for our show today, we said, look, we know 2024 is going to be a rough road. Right?
Yep.
We just look at everything that's has started out already. We know
Yes.
it's going to be a rough road. These are the energies that we must cultivate right now. And it is also the invitation to you to become this empowered version of yourself rather than waiting and seeing from the outside. It is building this energy of commitment, determination, resiliency, so that no matter what happens, you know that you will get up again, and that everything that you need in order to thrive, regardless of what's happening around you, is right there. So this is, such an essential focus of our lives right now. And I'm so happy we're talking about it.
Me too. And I do want to add that this is not easy.
No.
I just want to say that to everybody. This is not easy to let go of being in control. It's not an easy thing to let go. I mean, to let go of feeling like you're in control, because as we know, we're not really in control of anything, but feeling like we're in control. And to be flexible and to open our hearts and to say, like, okay, I don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to go right. It can be something flexible, something that I'm learning, and I could still be determined and find, as I say, as you said, resiliency through the learning. And so this is not something that we want to think and like just throw out lightly. We've all gone through many of the same experiences, and the key is, what do you do with the experience? What do you do with that no, thank you? What do you do with that door shut in your face? What do you do with these things that you feel are getting in the way of what you desire? And so it's never about the life circumstance, because we go through many of the same things. It's, what are you going to do with the life circumstance? Who are you going to be after things happen? What are you going to learn from it? What are you going to forgive? What are you going to take away from the experience? What are you going to implement? What are you going to take out? What are you going to do for you? What are you going to do? And that's where this love, this, you're going to the same go-tos, going to the same responses, going to the same actions and reactions, and it's not working. You've got to let go of that control and figure out, like, let's be curious about why it's not working and if there's other ways to do it. And so I just want to put that out there, that this is not something that's easy. This is something that I do believe is essential in life. It is part of why we're here. It is our calling to be on this earth, to figure out who the hell we are, what we want, how we're going to get there. And so this is not something that's easy, but it doesn't have to be hard all the time or painful all the time or all these negative things around it either. It can be something that's, I think it's a shift in mindset. Like, this is a journey. I think Marcia always says, this is a journey. Do you want to add anything to that as I?
Only, that I like that focus of this is a journey, because it gives us permission to let go of whatever has happened in the past and to be present and right now, and to know that we are exactly where we want and need to be. It may or may not feel good, but we are exactly where we want and need to be. So, having said that, Ames, and thinking about all the energies that we're talking about cultivating for 2024, can you just share with everyone an experience that you've had where you consciously went through it, knowing that you needed to be committed, determined, resilient, and empowered to step through it to the other side of it, to really get bold?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess my story was past is that I'm a beautiful dancer. I am beyond good. The way my body's set up, I was born to be a dancer. I had everything needed to be a professional dancer, to really get out there and create a life for myself as a dancer, a career, except for I didn't have the mindset, the confidence. That's what I lacked. So I was not able to bring that level of that dream to fruition because I got in my own way because I did not have the confidence behind that. And that was because it wasn't fostered in my family, right? So it was a waste of time. You're wasting your time. I didn't know how good I was. I didn't realize I was that good because all I got was knocked down in my home, right? Like other people got it, but your core people, it's like that's so important. And so fast forward to 20 I guess I started so 2011 after my fiance passed away. I had to rebuilding my life around that, right? And so I cultivated determination. I cultivated um, commitment and resiliency because my life depended on it. I was at ground zero. Like my life depended on all these things for me to cultivate all of these things. And it's interesting because once I started cultivating it, I had to be determined and resilient enough to get off the couch and go to the gym. Like I had to start like doing these things for myself. There was no one else to help me. I had support, but you know what I'm saying, it was me and me and me. And so that's when I started really cultivating these aspects in my life. And it's interesting because once you start cultivating them, things start happening. I got my degree, and then I got my coaching certification, and then I started my business. But all of that began at this horrific happening in my life. And through that sheer determination, like, you know, I can't live like this my whole life on the couch, right? So you're having to make yourself do these things, and you're having to find ways to really cultivate commitment to creating a new life. I knew how to create a new life because my old life was gone. It no longer existed. So I knew I had to create a new life. So fast forward to today where the determination, the commitment is almost secondary. It's not something that I have to enroll myself in anymore. It is something that I do in the morning, have to oftentimes shift my mindset. Like this morning, I'm like, I'm so tired. I woke up like that. But I had to like shift myself out of that. But I'm able to do that now and be excited about my life. But it is something that um I think that's where the experience came for me because I didn't want to not bring my dreams to fruition like the first time in my dance. I did not want to miss out on what I desired. Uh, I learned my lesson back then. I understand if you do not have commitment to self, courage, confidence, things will not come to fruition for me. And so I really cultivated all of that. Cultivated my confidence, cultivated my voice, cultivated my love for self. And yeah, I cultivated all of it from that experience of losing my fiance. How about you, Marcy? How about you? Can you share
Uh,
an experience?
yeah. So I guess I'm just going to talk more about what I spoke about earlier on when I decided to divorce my husband. And what's interesting, Amy, is that you talked about this brand new trajectory, right, for this new life that you were creating that happened at a very low point and through a lot of loss. And what's interesting is that it happened for me almost the opposite. It was at the height of having everything and anything anybody could want, and certainly the culmination of everything that I had worked so hard to have. And um, from the outside, it looked like my life was absolutely perfect. On the inside, with all of that perfection, I felt my spirit dying. I felt that like I was withering because there was so little of my true self that I was feeding. So I was so busy feeding the life that my husband wanted, my children wanted, and they needed, but at the cost of having given up so much of myself. And what happened was I started to experience the literal breakdown of my body and my mind. I was constantly in this state of confusion and fog, unless I was directed towards somebody else's life. But in terms of myself, every time that I would go to reach for something that I needed for me, it would get squashed down. And so my body started to take the hit. And so now it was compounded by this feeling that my spirit was dying and my physical body was, it felt like it was dying. So clearly I had very little energy in my vault that I could reach for. And as I said earlier, in preparing for that divorce, I went through the dark night of the soul. And I went through the dark night of the soul again. I mean, I want to emphasize it was at the height of what somebody else would see in my life. But for me, I had to come to terms with how much of my true, authentic being that I had given up in order to be there, in order to create that life for everybody else, and in the vision that I thought was perfection. So that dark night of the soul took me into places where I had to deal with all of that programming, right? The programming from childhood. This is what you do. This is the life that you follow. This is, step by step. I was always such a rebel on one hand. And on the other hand, the programming that I needed to do A, B, C, and D in a very linear fashion definitely ruled my life. And so when it came time to tell my husband that I wanted a divorce, number one, he was extremely shocked because I was a master of disguise. But what also happened was I remember having to cultivate that boldness, even to say the words, because the words made me physically ill. And I'm bringing this up because there is an aspect when we're going through this journey, and I'm going to keep repeating this, it doesn't feel good. All right. And you may misinterpret that discomfort as a sign that you're not supposed to be doing this. And there were times, I have to say, I lost sight of why I was doing it. And I had this very dear friend and this wonderful therapist, mentor, coach that I was working with, who I needed to help me, to help lead me through this and remind me why I was doing this. Now, I also want to emphasize I had no idea where I was going with this. I didn't know what the end game was. So I didn't even know what I was committing myself to other than my freedom. Somewhere, somehow inside of me, I knew that that freedom was essential for my life. I also knew I was disappointing a lot of people. I was changing the trajectory of the lives of my children, not just myself, and extended family. And through it all, my commitment was to self, even when I had no idea what that looked like or what it was going to require of me. And it was that determination to do whatever it took, excuse me, that brought me to the other side. And it was only through those energies coming together, merging together, that I developed this resiliency so that I reached a point that where no matter what it cost me, no matter what it asked of me, I was going forward. And I remember this mentor, therapist, coach of mine who would say, Marcy, remember one thing. In order to have it all, you must be willing to risk it all. And that is something that I have kept in the forefront of my heart because it inspires me constantly. And it gives me that permission to go forward, even when I can't see what's in the future. But the willingness to risk. And it's like, Amy, you were talking about earlier, that willingness to be curious. What if? How can I see this differently? How can I allow the universe to respond to me differently? What do I need to do? And so that was how I stepped out of that perfect life into a life that's now perfect for me. And it's also the means, the way that I'm here with all of you. I knew that there was this calling for me, and I needed to be free in order to be able to explore it and express it. And so, like Amy said, this is not going to be easy because you will constantly be confronted with the programming that was developed to keep you right where you are, to prevent you from stepping into the unknown. But every step that you give yourself permission to experience is the step where you will see and learn more about yourself than you ever have before. And then you are resilient because you know what you are empowered with. And that is a source of energy that will never, ever lead you astray. And it's because your heart knows where you're meant to be, what you're meant to be doing, and with whom. Kind of how Amy and I found each other.
Yeah.
Different sides of the country, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And here we are. So this is a magic formula. I have to say it. What do you want to say, Abe?
I just want to comment on what you said and this programming that we have. It is so multi-layered and so influential in our life. And to think like you're done with it or it's not affecting you, we are so programmed on every level that it's better for you to think like that. Is this programming? Am I being programmed? Like, it's better to know that you are the result at this point of your life of what you've been told by everybody, what you've seen, what you listened to. Just know that this is true. And for you to really start getting back to you and really get back to what you desire and get heart-centered and get present in life, we must all work on this letting go of things that do not belong to us. And we are heavily influenced in our life, especially now, 21st century, heavily influenced. And so I think that is such an important thing to just, you got to be okay with it. You can't fight it. You got to be okay with it and figure it out. Whether stop scrolling on that social media, turn off the TV, or, get back into your artistry and what you want to do, get back to you. It's very, and just know that for me, that was a big eye opener back in when I started my spiritual journey in 2001. I was like, I didn't even know it was that programmed. But yes, we are so programmed, and it's something that we must work on all the time. And because it will take down our success, it will create insecurity. It will infiltrate us in a way that we start questioning our own desires. That's how powerful it is. And so I encourage everyone to understand that this is just a given. Now, what do I need to do differently? What do I need to let go of? What do I need to forgive? What do I need to turn off? So that I am not wasting my time, I'm not wasting my energy on something that is not on my side. Like, you're either on my side or you're not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to be on my side first. And if that thing is not on my side, it is gone. That's just how determined I am, right? This is where we all need to get to, so that oh man, it's just like, you are here, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful when you have that feeling of like, yes, this is exactly who I am. And this is exactly where I want to be. And this is exactly what I want to do. And have that self-determination, that voice getting up and being like, yes, today's the day. Get up. You get to do what you want to do. Sorry, I had to cough.
No worries. Okay. So with that, I don't know, Ames, should we take some questions from the audience?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, please.
Or anything you want to comment on? You can either go down to the bottom of your screen where it says reactions and raise your hand, or you can put it in the chat and we can take it from there. But if anybody has any questions, any comments, anything you'd like to add, Candace. Okay,
Candace has a question. Great.
Thank you.
You can unmute yourself, I believe. So.
Hi.
Hi, Candace.
Hi. It's not a question, but I just want to reiterate because I'm living proof perfect example of I lived my dream like I'm living on my own. My brother made it possible. He's my landlord, but I still have people in my life, like caregivers and stuff, saying like, oh, just wait till tomorrow. Like, perfect example, the worker today, she was like, no, just wait. And I'm like, no. I put my stop to it. So what I want to reiterate is, even when there's resistance in front of my face or in front of me, it's so easy for me to just say, okay, I'll give it to you. But it takes something to say to myself, no, I know my commitment. And my commitment is to play big and to play in the healing heart, art, healing garden, building for myself and building for humanity. And that's where that's how that's where I stand on a like daily basis. Sometimes I fall off, but having this group, being part of the show every month is the best, and being reminded that I'm not alone.
Oh, how beautiful.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Candace, and well done. Well done.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Questions?
Questions, comments?
Yeah, I just want to say that, people, will, let's me the clapping. People will be like, oh, just wait, don't stress you out too much. You don't want too much, A lot of people do that in our lives. So you're right, Candace. No, please don't say those words to me again. I'm on a mission. I'm on a path. Those words don't belong to me is often what I say. That's I don't believe in that at all. And when people actually say that, they're not trying to, as I say, they're not trying to be mean, but or deter you. They're just trying to be nice and intentional. Like, look, it's under this guise of caring for you. But we know what we want. We know that tomorrow will never come if we don't do it today, oftentimes. So do it today. Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone? Question, comment?
Yeah, Dennis.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
This is for people that maybe have an intention, but they're afraid to take action, trying to get everything just straight before they actually take action. And so one of my favorite quotes in this regard is, you don't have to get it right, you just have to get it going. So I'm still learning that, but I think it's really true. You have your intention, but just start taking action and be flexible to make the right changes to continue towards that objective. Does that make sense?
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I just want to, comment that a lot of the hangups that people experience is because they have this idea that things are written in stone, and there's nothing written in stone. It comes again from this programming that Amy and I talk about all the time. And she was so right on. We're never to the other side of it. There's always programming that we are going to be confronted by. So for you, as you were speaking, I'm hearing my father's voice say, you made your bed, now lie in it. Right? I don't know if others, were told that same thing, but these programs are there for us to discover how they are impacting our lives, and to decide whether or not we want to perpetuate that belief, or do we want to create one of our own. So that's such an excellent quote, and I'm going to remind myself of that, to tell you the truth.
And I'd like to add that that's natural.
Mm-hmm.
That's as it should be, because the universe is asking you to step up. People are like thinking that the universe is going to come down and like pick them up. No, opposite. You need to show up for the universe to show up for you.
Yeah.
And so it's important that we shift that, our mindset around that. Number one, this is normal. Number two, when we are trying to take action and we're like we have to have everything lined up perfectly before we take action, or it has to be the right time, or whatever it is. All of that is actually confidence. There's like hiding, you might be hiding, hesitating, a hesitator, right? So there's these, I forget the other two. There's these H's. I'm a hider and hesitator. Like I know that about myself. And that helps me understand, like, am I hiding right now? Or why am I hesitating? Right? So, and I do believe that language is important in our healing. When we define something, that we first need to define it and like be like, what is it? What are we doing? I think that's really important. The other one is hypercritical. Maybe you're hypercritical of self. And the other one is helplessness. Those are the 4 H's of confidence.
Mhm.
And so all of this is a time to discover who you are, like who you want to be. This
That's
is all
right.
like, this is like, oh my God, what am I doing right now? This is all like reflection on self and like learning about your own self. And to me, that's like exciting,
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
right?
Yeah.
To learn about what am I doing and why am I doing it? Wow, this is really interesting,
Yeah.
right? Instead of like, I don't know why I'm doing this, right? It's more like open it up. We need to open up our mind and our curiosity and our fun and our like, geez, I really blew it back there. Like I really lost my temper. Why did I do that? You know what I mean? You start
I have
going
to
like,
share something. Oh my gosh, I have to share something. I shared this with a group I was leading the other day. So I was sort of thinking about something that had just happened, and I was like, oh my God, why did I do that? And here's the thought that came into my mind. The thought was, sometimes I really suck as a human, but I'm always great as a God. And so I've started to remind myself of that. Even when I suck as a human, I'm great as a God. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that, and also to thank you, Dennis, and ask you, Dennis, could you put that quote in the chat for everyone?
yeah, I'd like that too.
That might be something they'd like to take home with them.
Yes.
Thank
So,
you.
so we
And
have Tony. Yeah.
yeah,
Tony.
no, go ahead, Tony.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You want to unmute yourself, Tony?
Well, I cry a lot. Like
Aw.
it's spontaneous, like, and I was so moved in the last few minutes that I just started crying. And this has been something I've done all my life since early childhood. And I wondered if you had any words of encouragement on how I could circumvent that. Thank you.
So I'll jump in. First off, I want to say to you that uh, your tears are a form of communication. It's a message that's coming from your heart. And your tears are meant to help you to release energy, to just let the energy go that is dense and needs to come to the surface. The fact that you've been doing this your whole life long tells me that you're on an incredible journey of letting go of a lot of false beliefs that have held you back, prevented you from experiencing your wholeness. And so, what my recommendation would be is that every time your eyes start to sprout, right? I would just put your hands on your heart and say, thank you. Thank you for being so beautiful. Thank you for being so vulnerable. And thank you for your willingness to let go and to bring light to what is seeking to be freed. Every tear you shed is filled with something that's asking to be set free. So welcome them. It is so beautiful.
Mhm.
And your body is just cleansing itself of dense energy and bringing it to the light. And it is something to celebrate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I want to add that I was you for so many years. I could not speak without crying. And it was so painful for me to express my true voice, my true self, my true desires. Like I get choked up. I could cry right now. You know, I'm a crier too. But what happened was I just couldn't do it. It was the tears would come instead of words. And so and that of course became that was because of how I was so shut down in my own core family, right? So when I expressed something, because I was a wild child, I was like out there and I was suppressed so much for being who I was that I was so fearful to even speak to people and tell them my truth or ask them for something. And I remember going in my meditation group in 2001. Every time I spoke, I just cried. I'd cry through it. Right. And it wasn't until I started getting back to myself and having the confidence and having the safety in knowing that I can speak my truth without apologizing or shifting who I was or trying to appease or so I get it. And the thing about when we cry, it comes from us. It comes usually from our little girls and us and who we truly are. And it's a mourning. It's a big sadness in our life because for me, I never got to really have the freedom to be me in my expression. And so I would say the more that you share, the more you get back to you, it's easy. It becomes easier. See, I can talk and be vulnerable and open without crying now. It doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes it's, and I use laughter a lot. And I know that is something that's important for me because I need to feel good because sometimes, in my expressing of self and what I desire and what I wanted was so painful.
And also sometimes those tears are joyful.
Yeah.
They're tears that are, again, even tears of joy. You're rising above where you were before. And that's the most important thing. And thank you so much for that, Amy, because you're rising above. Your frequency is rising as you're crying. So whether you are letting go of energy of sadness, or you are letting go of where you were so that you can rise up in your energy and experience joy, it is the most incredible ability that you have, right? Because in either case, think about this, your tears are taking you into a brand new opportunity to create from a higher vibration of love. So thank you for coming forward. Thank you for letting go of that energy. Thank you for taking me where I am. Yeah, it's beautiful. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had a question from, is it Sarah?
Sarah. Maybe Sarah?
Yeah.
SIRA, maybe.
Beautiful. Does the original programming ever get rewired or neutralized for good, or will we always have to fight against it? You want to go, Ames?
Yeah. I believe that it depends. If every, I do believe it stays with us, and that each, and it can be something neutralized if you're staying at this level of like your life is not changing that much. But if you decide that you want something above where you are, right? Not that that's good, better, and different, but let's just say that you want to go outside of what you're used to. Your comfort zone is what we call it. You will get to be confronted with these old programmings. So it's all a mind shift. Like if you're happy in your relationship and your kids and your job and your life and everything's like you're happy there, and I think you're not going to be confronted with these old programmings as much as when you're like, I'm not happy, I want a divorce, or I'm not happy, I want to get a new job, or I'm not happy anymore, or the kids leave as empty nester, or I'm not happy and I want to start a business. Okay, so once we start going up to something other than what we're used to, and of course, if we go down, you're going to get confronted with them also. But it's when we get out of our comfort zones that we oftentimes, I don't think they will pop back up. And sometimes they'll pop back up when you're like going to the grocery store and you're in the grocery store and someone just pushes that button and you're just like, you know, woo, you know, there's that old wound. So yeah, I think that we discover more of it when we really take ourselves out of our comfort zone, but it still lives, and it lives in our relationships. They live in our relationships, and that, you know, to not expect them to come up, I think is short-sighted because it causes conflict. But to understand, I feel it in my body. I'm about to react. Like it's best to like, okay, calm down, take a moment, relax before I speak. Right. So I don't think it ever goes away is my basic answer.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It doesn't go away, but two things I want to sort of bring into the forefront, and that is number one, we don't ever want actually to fight against anything. We want to remember that we are creators and we have the ability to create something new. The moment you fight against something or believe that you have to reject it or dismiss it or whatever, you're actually giving it power over you. Okay, that's exactly what the ego wants you to do. That is an energetic exchange with the ego. So, what Amy said about you get to is 100% correct. Every time the program comes up, no matter what that program is, it's an invitation for you to remember that you're a creator. That's all it is. It's an invitation. Sometimes it's on a silver platter. Sometimes it takes you through the swamp until you see it. But so what I want to emphasize is that the presence of the program is not the issue. The issue is how do you learn to make a different choice and create a new program, and even still not get stuck in that one. So if we remember, we're constantly, excuse me, meant to be creating new trajectories of energy. I have to take a drink.
Both of us have been, I guess we're back in our cough series.
So if we understand this is, we're hardwired to create new energetic trajectories. That's the essence of our being as a creator. So
Sorry. And to also think like, you know, a lot of creation comes in turmoil, right? Like when the all this energy of turmoil is like building up, and then something is created. It's the same thing with us. We are not separate from the universe and what it does with its laws of nature and chemistry and physics and all that. We are involved in all of that. And so
100%. I mean, look at the painting behind me. It's layers and layers of chaos. But from that chaos comes this incredible creativity and this constant invitation to rise up with the energy that's created in, you know, in the midst of all of that. So our lives are filled with so many opportunities when we remain flexible, giving ourselves permission to see them and to engage in something different. And so, again, work to not fight against anything, invite it in, invite it forward, let it show itself to you.
and if I may just make a comment real quick.
Sure.
Like I see that Sarah says, oh, I know the turmoil so well. Well, that might be your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And what might not be your comfort zone is peace. Right? So we all get to examine, like, what is our comfort zone? And what do we, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I used to love the drama, the anger, this whole thing. Right. But I reached my limit. I was like, oh, no. I need to go to peace. I had to make that an intention. I want a peaceful life. I don't want a chaotic life. And then what I had to do was get rid of the chaos. And if anything at this point interrupts my peace, I am pretty quick to let it go, because to me, my peace is number one. I want peace. I don't want chaos anymore. Right? So these are decisions, as choices that, like Marcy said, but to understand where your comfort zone is. My comfort zone was in chaos. That's where it was. It got my energy up. It made me feel important because I was telling people what to do. The list goes on. But now I choose peace, and you can do whatever you want. I don't know. Why are you asking me that question? You decide what you want to do, and I decide what I want to do, right? Because I can't get caught up in your stuff. So it's interesting what our comfort zones are.
Yep, it sure is. Thanks for all of that. All right, so we have a question from, let's see, 1TR. That's the only way I can think to express it. All right. Is it not so that we all incarnate on Earth with a pre-planned life ahead of us, which is not set in concrete because all souls have the right to free will? Yes. And yes. So, is our life pre-planned? Our life is pre-planned in terms of what the soul knows that it can experience for its greatest expansion and ability to extend love, to create in love. Free will is our opportunity to choose how we want to do that. So the planning is not in every detail, but rather with the mission in mind. So that mission is the same for all of us. The mission is always to expand in love so that we can extend more love out into the universe and create from that high frequency. In that planning, we also plan and agree to be born into certain families, to have certain relationships, to have certain experiences, again, that give us the opportunity to have the greatest amount of expansion from it. And so that's as far as it goes in terms of planning with the one mission in mind. However, the free will is actually something that every sovereign being must claim. And that is the gift from Source itself. Because Source, energy, the ultimate creator, has no need to control anything because it is everything. We in our human experience have to remember that that is our birthright. Our birthright is freedom. Amy and I hold freedom so dear to our hearts. It's like right up there when it comes to personal values. And so as a human being, our experiences also are there to implore us, right? To invite us to remember we are sovereign beings. And therefore, part of our mission is to make certain that we are expressing that sovereignty, expressing our power as a creator. That's it. So it's a most incredible system when you think about it. And I'm often in awe of how everything comes together, right, to give us those opportunities. So yes and yes. Abe?
Yes, I agree 100%. Uh, I don't know. It's like we're all born as who we are. Like I used to teach 3-year-olds, right? Dance. And now they're, 30 and 29, 28. They're the same person they were at 3 years old, like the same kind of energy around them. The way they express themselves is the same. So I do believe like I was put here on this earth to dance, to be an artist, to teach, to create. That's what my mission, that's why I'm here. And for some reason, when the outside world was trying to stop me, I just got rid of it. I don't know where that determination came from, other than that was my soul's experience on this earth as having the balls out, live this journey for yourself is why I'm here. This is all I can assess from the situation. And then some people are here, their soul's purpose is different. I think everyone has a different soul purpose. And so it is to expand and it is to grow. And maybe someone's soul's purpose is to be a wife and mother and like have that nurturing self really expand, and unfortunately, there's a lot of pressure to be a perfect mom or a lot of pressure to be a perfect dad. And a lot of pressure is around people that then squash the experience of the soul. So I think this is where, we get to really examine, like be curious about what's my soul purpose? Why am I here? What's getting in the way? And who's trying to stop me? And if someone's trying to stop me, they got to go. That's my MO. That's anyone who ever said like, do you have to go to dance class today? I'd be like, later. You're either, this is my purpose, this is why I'm here, this is what I love. So I do believe we're born with the sole purpose on this and to experience certain things in this life. And it's different for everybody, but that we, whatever it is for you, that we're here to expand that with love, not constrict it with conditions. And so that's my yes and yes, as Marcy said. Yes, yes.
That was beautiful. Yeah, really beautiful. Thank you. Anybody else?
Dennis?
Should I just raise my hand if I want to talk? Is that
Sure, go right ahead. Just speak.
well, the subject of predetermination and free will is one of the most complex subjects there is. It's just not that simple. You have to almost look at it from our experience level, or if you can, somehow look at it from a much higher level. Our experience is we have free will. That's a fact. But I think free will is an illusion that we have to experience. We can't live on this earth plane without the experience of free will. But I think ultimately, well, let me put it this way. My first master, spiritual master from 50 years ago, he didn't talk about it much, but when pressed about asking, he was asked, do we have free will or is there predetermination? Explain this, please. And all he said was, they're one and the same. So that tells me that from the level of the almighty supreme being, there's no free will. It's all his will. But on our level of experience, and even in higher planes, we have free will, and we have to go by that. It can be pretty dangerous for us to go through our life thinking, oh, it's all predetermined, and do what we want. So I'm not sure if I'm making myself clear or not, but it's a highly complex, abstract subject. I just wanted to get that out. But he said they're one and the same thing, so they're both true.
I actually thank you very much for your opinion, and I agree. They are one and the same when we remember that our mission is to expand and extend in love.
Yes.
Now, there is nothing outside of that. Love is all there is, and we are love. So what else could we really be doing but expressing love? So yeah, and it's such a deep subject, and maybe another time we can dive in even deeper and talk about all the different ways to look at this and explore and see what resonates with each of us. So that would be great fun. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have something else to say, unless somebody else has. Okay. I would like to go back about the programming. I think people say, let's see, how do I see programming? We have to look at what it is. All the programming, it manifests in our neurons, our neuronic activity of our brain. So if you could look at your brain cells, you would see, well, there is this programming, and could be emotional, physical, could be smoking habit, just everything. And by the way, I've heard 95% of our programming is unconscious. It's in our unconscious, subconscious mind. So the programming is there, physiologically speaking. Like, for example, smoking, it's there. That can be changed. That can be eliminated by reprogramming not smoking. So not smoking is a programming. So one can reprogram themselves and no longer have the programming of smoking. No more temptation, no more anything. That's a simple example, but I think our experience is, like we talked about grief last month, our experience is that it can come back up. It doesn't go away. But that just means that it's not unwound. It's not deprogrammed. It's not eliminated from our neuron activity of our brain. So anyway, I think one can eliminate programming.
Yes, I would have to agree as a hypnotherapist that there are some programs that I can rewire for somebody. But I think the differentiation came just exactly as you said. When you're talking about the experience of addiction, that's a whole other thing. When you're talking about the action of the addiction, I can rewire that. And in other words, create a new program for someone. The experiences that we have, again, I think it's so important for us to remember that because when we can keep in the forefront what our mission is, I want to invite every opportunity possible. Show me, where there is an influence, as you said, that is unconscious, that is deterring me, that's taking me off the trajectory that I want to be on. And that's the way I try to look at everything. Whatever I experience, I truly believe, and I think, Amy, you do too, but I don't want to speak for you, but every experience is working in my favor. Every single thing. And that even includes going through the reprogramming of smoking cigarettes, for instance. So yes, it's a health benefit, but it's also a benefit that then shows us how powerful we are, right? And that we can choose otherwise. We do have choice, and those choices are so essential that we actually initiate and we feed the ones that will then feed us the life that we want to live. So yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for making that differentiation. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And when you brought up smoking, I used to be a smoker. So I could conjure up in my mind the romanticism and the good feeling of being a smoker. That experience, I could bring it up if I want to, right? I can go back to that experience if I want to, but I don't want to. I choose not to romanticize it. I choose not to reflect on that morning cup of coffee and that cigarette, right? I choose not to do those. So then my action is not to smoke. If I was going into the experience all the time, how great it was, I most likely would probably smoke again, right? Because our brains are so powerful in that way that whatever we focus on, we go to. And so I also want to just interject that don't leave out the body in all of this. Our body holds information. Our body holds knowledge. Our body holds the experience also, the feeling, the emotions. So I don't want to leave out the body in all of this because we're not just brain. Our brains and bodies are connected. And the importance of like, man, sometimes my body wants something so bad, my body wants to like, let's kind of just say like, call up that guy and like, go on the date with the guy. My mind is the one who'll be like, no, Amy, he's not good for you. My mind is the one who's like, no, don't do that. Even though my body craves something and vice versa. So our body and mind connection and how we communicate is so important in taking action or what actions not to take. And so I just don't want to leave out the body in the reprogramming of our life or making different choices.
such a great reminder for us. And I want to share a little experience that I had. I also was a smoker as a young woman, and excuse me, gave it up. I was quite young. And about 30 years after I gave up smoking, I actually remembered having a dream where I was at a party and somebody was offering me a cigarette, and I had to stop in the dream and decide if I was a smoker or a non-smoker. I mean, that's crazy. 30 years later, this thought is still like there, and I had to choose. And there was part of me was loving the smell of the cigarette, right? That person was smoking in my dream. And then I said, you know what? No, I'm not a smoker. But I thought that was amazing to me. Yeah.
No, the worst is like waking up from a dream that you smoked and you're like, oh my God, I smoked. And you're like, oh no, I didn't. It was just a dream. Like, oh my God, I cheated. Oh gosh. All right.
Well, Amy,
Mhm.
you're absolutely right. Mind and body work together very, very intimately. As a matter of fact, there's nothing that the mind doesn't experience that the body also does not experience. And there's nothing that the body experiences that doesn't transfer in some way to the mind. So they work totally together. And the brain, we have a mental body, as we probably know, physical body. We have a mental body, an emotional body. That's part of our aura. And the brain is just a physical manifestation of our mental body. So yeah, they all work together. So yeah, I agree with you.
Mhm. We can't forget the body.
Nope, not ever.
Oh my
Not
gosh,
ever.
we hit our time. We still ended up going 2
Yeah.
hours, Marcy. We're too bad.
Yeah. Well,
Hour and a
I'm
half.
happy to be taking these questions.
Yes.
And maybe just one more if anybody has one.
I haven't.
Otherwise, yeah, please, we'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Amy and I are committed to being here and serving you, supporting you through these the challenges of being human, a human God in this world. And so please leave your comments. We will be continuing to offer our membership, which is an amazing opportunity for you to come into an even deeper discussion with us, always on the Monday following the show,
Mhm.
as well as getting a number of things that we've set aside to support you. In addition, so many of our guests have been so generous in offering free gifts to you in the form of courses, programs that are specific for our membership. So I want to encourage everyone, Savannah, if you have that link, if you can please put it in the chat, please join us in our membership. We are so committed, again, to creating a community of like minds, like hearts that are willing to explore, discover new possibilities, and of course, really align with doing the do, because that's how we know that we not only change our lives, but we change the world. But it must start within us. And so, having said that, I want to thank everyone for being here. Dennis, I know you had one more quick
Well,
thing.
can I just say one more
Yeah,
thing?
Yeah,
You
please.
guys, because we are sponsored by Trinity. And
Oh
Trinity,
yeah, our sponsor.
Our sponsor is Trinity, and they get she gives us $100 saving card for hotels. And so I used it when I went down to San Diego. It was great. And so Savannah, can you put that in the link for our for the people who are here, the link to grab that $100 off of, like, if you travel and you're going to book a hotel, you just go through their website, and then they have all the hotels in the area, like and yeah, that's part of our gift for you guys from staying on to the very end. And yeah, so yeah, If you have one more question, Dennis, or anyone else, otherwise we will wrap it up.
Yeah, well, if it seems like it's too complex of an answer, we don't have to answer it today. But going back, if we have an objective, an intention, a goal that we want, and we come across resistance, some kind of resistance or a block. But sometimes the question I have is this the universe diverting me into another channel to my objective? Is this a sign of the universe? Or am I supposed to learn perseverance and go through that with determination, like we talked about earlier? So that's one of the rare questions that I have that I still am wrestling with.
So I'll jump in on this one.
Yeah.
I believe that all resistance originates with the ego, connecting with that frequency. It's been my experience and my understanding that in terms of, again, being a God or being a creator, nothing is outside of us. And so any resistance that we come across is not true. It's part of the illusion, because we are here to experience it all. We are here to experience as much as we can possibly say yes to, and which is in alignment with our true beliefs. So again, resistance can only be of the ego when you're looking at yourself as the creator of all that you experience. You are the cause, the effect is what you see. What you see is what you get, sort of a thing, right? So that resistance has got to be indicative of an alignment to an aspect of the ego, because the ego's energy is always one of fear. It is always one of keeping you right where you are and keeping you in control. Your higher self, the God self, is saying, let's explore. Let's have an adventure. Let's have fun. Let's see if what happens if we do this or if we do that. And again, it all depends on your alignment as to what that experience is going to be. So I believe that all resistance is simply an invitation to realign with the God self, with the aspect of self that is capable of creating whatever we want to experience. The nuance is to remind ourselves that nothing is written in stone. If we have an experience we're not so happy with, create something else. So we're in constant pivot, you might say, when we remember who we are. So how about you, Aim?
Yeah, I want to say I experienced this whole thing. It's like, is this, not the right time? Is the universe trying to send me a message? It's not the right time. That in itself is programming. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what we're programmed to be thinking to ourselves. Remember that, right? That's just programming. The universe wants everything for you. Like Marcy said, you're going through it. Whatever you're going through, you're going to learn from it in one way or another. Good, bad, or indifferent. So even that sentence is a program. And, I went through this when I decided to scatter my fiance's ashes. And when I drove to the place that I wanted to scatter them at, I can't tell where it is. I might get arrested. But that all these roadblocks are in my way of what I thought I wanted. But I was like, is this the universe telling me this? I shouldn't be doing this? Should I not be doing this? This is because of my own stuff. But I was like, no, I'm just going to keep going, keep going, keep going. And the thing that I envisioned I wanted didn't happen. But what happened was something better. Right? what happened was my experience was more really what we were about, not about what I thought I wanted, but it was more like I scattered by our favorite tree. Instead of going up to the mountains, you know, I went under our favorite where he took a picture of me doing an arabesque on a log. I put them there. So the experience was different. So when we say these things to ourselves, it's just programming. And if I would have stopped, I wouldn't have had that experience that was more real, more connected to us versus what I thought I wanted. So
Thank you so much for that, Amy.
yeah.
Yeah, you're so right on. And we have to say we are out of time.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage you again, please join us in our membership. These are the kinds of conversations that we have over and over and over again, but on an even deeper dive. Please join us. We would love to have those conversations with you.
Yes. And step boldly in 2024. As always,
Yes.
Marcy and I are here for you. I also, our downloadable gifts we have, which is I have Unleash Your Vision, Craft a Limitless 2024, which I did. It's a visualization to help you really connect with the things that you truly desire, and you'll walk away with your values for 2024 within that vision.
Great, thank you. And of course, my ebook, which is how to shift from how to shift into self-love in 5 days, which is a great book. And I think we have some other things in there too, don't we, Aim?
No, those are our downloadables.
Oh,
and
those are
yeah.
downloadables. Okay. Well, come into the membership because I can guarantee you there's a lot more there.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. So, all right. We do hope to see you and to have you join us. And if so, we'll see you on Monday doing an even deeper dive with all of this.
And we'll see you next month for our live. I don't know what our theme is next month, but we'll be here.
Great, thank you. And by the way, our show is always the third Thursday of every month. And thank you for asking that, Patty. Okay, third Thursday of every single month we are here.
Yes.
All right, same time, same place.
Yep.
Happy New Year, everyone. Love you so much.
Happy New Year.